Hello. I said a couple of days ago that I thought I'd go through the contents, as far as I can see it, of On Drafting, the writing manual I've started to write, and I realised when I looked at my draft that it's actually too long and has got too many things in for me to go through the whole thing. So the opening section is going to be called something like Before Beginning, and for the sake of the podcast, I'm going to assume that's where you are with what you're writing. Obviously, I've been thinking about starting On Drafting for months, and it's based on years of teaching and decades of thinking about how to get better at writing. These are kind of 10 sections that I can see at the moment might be useful to have. They're in very scrappy form at the moment. It may be that the thing that you are writing is much further along, but for me this really is only a few thousand words in notebooks and on paper at the moment, and this is the year I hope I'm going to get most of it down, if not all of it. So I'm going to go through the sections that I have so far and just say what I imagine being in them. Number 1, introduction, although I'm hoping to call it something slightly more interesting than introduction, but I never know. Preface, this is about what kind of book this is going to be, and I'm assuming that at some point this might turn into a pitch document or the blurb even. Section 2, preparing mentally or / the right attitude. I don't know if this is the right place for this. I'm going to try and find ways of framing writing for the person who's reading this manual that make writing seem much more possible, easy, fun, the usual things that it needs to be to get it done. Section 3, to research or not to research. I think this divides writers up into two main camps. I would say that I am one who researches as he goes along, or in fact does do research but just doesn't realise he's doing it, whereas there are other people who need to know everything before they begin. They need to know what time a train left a station in Berlin in 1938 before they start writing their novel. Section 4, a history of manuscripts and typescripts. Now this is clearly ridiculous and I won't be able to go into any detail at all, but this is one of the main ideas for the book On Drafting. I don't understand why writers, learning writers, beginning writers don't spend more time looking at other writers' manuscripts. This is the page on which their novel happened, and a lot of those things are publicly available. They're online or they're in books that you can get out of the library. So I'm going to be looking at some of those, reading a page closely, probably the first page of George Orwell's 1984, which is available in a large and beautiful edition and which I've taught before. Chapter 5 is where to write. I'll be thinking about writing in restaurants, writing in cafes, the perfect office, do you need a desk, questions like that. Section 6, means, pen and paper, laptop, phone, scraps of paper. This could go on for some time, but I know when I've blogged about it before on Substack, people are really into this. The main thing is not to fall in love with your means too much so that you can't work without them. Section 7, the spine / the long haul / written through the body. This is about posture, and this is about how to actually get yourself a position where you're writing where you're not going to banjax your spine permanently. On that note, Section 8, about disability. A book that I really loved reading was Alistair McIntyre's Dependent Rational Animals, and he makes the argument that we are all essentially disabled and that we shouldn't see ourselves as anything other than dependent rational animals, as his title says. How I'm going to fit that in, I don't know. I'm tempted to put disability at the very beginning, but that's not really the take of the whole book. Section 9 is on note-taking. I think this is really important. This is how I work. I take notes all the time. And finally for today, Draft 0, Section 10. Draft 0, a lot of writers use this, but the idea of making that first draft as unintimidating as possible, so it's not even a first draft, it's Draft 0. These are some of the sections I'm going to be reading out drafts of, getting your feedback on, asking you to make suggestions for in the next few weeks. So thank you for listening and hope to see you tomorrow.